What's going on, everyone? Today on the channel, we have a double feature for you today. One movie is called Babygirl, and the other film is Baby Boy. You would think they don't match, but they do.
But first, Babygirl.
Babygirl, Babygirl.
Good girl, good girl.
This film stars the AMC intro lady by the name of Nicole Kidman.
Yep, that's all she's ever done her whole life is AMC intros. Mm-hmm.
Every time she does, I always think because I always think she's gonna say your family, because here your family. Yeah, she is a very powerful, rich CEO of a tech company, married to Antonio Banderas, and they have a family. They have 2 daughters. You know, it seems like a normal life of, Susie Homemaker type of stuff at home, and then she goes and be a powerful executive at this job. The first scene in this, there's going to be spoilers in this, people. Just letting you know, from this on out, there's spoilers. The first scene in this, I was like, whoa. I was not prepared.
While it would seem she has everything, just like you said, she is rich, she is successful, even her husband is rich and successful. But looks can be deceiving. Sometimes you can look like you are having everything, like you're having the greatest time of your life, but maybe you're just faking it. And obviously there's a lot of humor in that too. Yeah. But when I think back about that opening scene, and you're right, it is uncomfortable to be in a theater, dark theater full of strangers.
Looking around me
while Nicole Kidman appears to orgasm.
Y'all seeing this old lady do this?
Exactly. But it is very informative to the character and to the movie. So I love it when a director can explain these kind of really complex things to you so simply.
She's out walking and she sees a gentleman that's getting attacked by a dog, like getting ripped apart by a dog. And she's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? She's on the street.
She tries her best to blend in with the crowd, but the dog sees her and is like lunging for her.
Yeah. And then this guy just whistles. He calms the dog down, and then there's a person that's behind it is like, oh, that's my dog. And he's like, is your dog? You should have your dog on a leash. And he gives the dog and he just walks off.
It would seem like this is the first time where her life was not in control. But thank God this dominant, dashing man rescued her from this wild dog.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of just disheveled, devil-may-care hair. He just does whatever he wants. He's kind of wild and untamed himself.
And he wears like a backpack that looks like a kid's backpack, and I felt like, his character design was on purpose for her to see someone that she feels is like needy, but he doesn't need anything. He's a dominant person within his own nature.
Yeah, I think his character design was there to show that he can't be tamed.
Right.
She is used to taming everyone around her, getting them all to march to the beat of her drum. Mm-hmm. But he's got his own beats, and he doesn't seem to give a damn about what she does and what she says. Even later on, they're at this party, and she's out there by herself, like brooding. And then out comes the intern. I imagine from her point of view, she's like, oh, I got to be on now because he's going to be asking me a million questions. Or, since this guy appears to be very forward, he might even try to flirt. So, she stands up straight. And he's like, you got light?
He got the lighter, did the smoke and everything, and then he said, oh yeah, you're my mentor.
Our meeting's at 3 tomorrow. Goodbye. She's like, what? No, I didn't agree to that. And he's like, it's already done. I already scheduled it. I'll see you at 3. And he doesn't, there's no debate, nothing. Mm-hmm. And you could tell she has never been spoken to like that before. Do you think this meeting was real? Because at no point do we ever see these emails or hear any details about this mentoring thing going on? Did he just tell her what to do?
I think he just told her what to do. Just like later on, there's a scene where everyone in the office went out to go out to drink, and he gives her milk.
Right. She
gonna do with that milk?
And she's like, I can't believe she. And then he walks by and he's like, good girl. Yeah. Technically this is an erotic thriller, but these 2 different characters, Sam the intern and our main character played by Nicole Kidman, have very different views. Rami, she has very different views on sex. For him, sex is about power. It's about dominance. And it's about an exchange of power. And she has never, ever exchanged her power for anything or for anyone. And there's another point later on in the film where he even straight up says he's not really attracted to her. He's like, you look like a mom, and I'm not into that. I think he is really only attracted to her power. And she is attracted to him not because he's particularly hot or anything like that. I think she's only attracted to him because it's kind of like walking a tightrope for her, right? One slip and everything could crumble. And that thrill gives her everything she needs for her sexual satisfaction. Baby boy is almost the exact opposite. He feels as if he deserves everything that a man should get, all the trappings a man should get, even though he is doing nothing that a man would ever do. No. He really is just a grown child.
Yes.
And I find that so fascinating. And watching these two movies back to back was quite the experience. The movie often draws comparisons between Nicole Kidman and that dog in the beginning of the film.
Yes.
Where sometimes that dog is aggressive, right? The first time we see that dog, it's about to bite the holy shit out of Nicole Kidman, right? But that's not necessarily what the dog always wants. Sometimes the dog wants a treat, wants a little softness, wants to be a pet, you know? And that is her. Actually, the film ends in the most strangest little montage.
I see.
I feel like it could be almost straight up disturbing.
Yeah. For sure.
At a surface level, this movie runs a risk of being completely misread. Okay.
Yes.
On a surface level, it almost seems it seemed like it's saying that women want to be dominated. Okay. In order to be happy, these women need to be dominated. That's not what the film was trying to say. The film was trying to say women, just like men, are much more complicated. No one is any one thing, and I find that really interesting. And that makes this movie
like the way you said that. No one is
kind of challenging. Yep, exactly.
I also thought that this film was acted well. I think that this movie was directed well by Helena Ridgen.
The movie is about a much older woman, a CEO, having sex with a much younger man, the intern, right? And obviously there is an extreme power dynamic going on here. And Antonio Banderas even says to Samuel when he finds out that his wife is cheating, it's like, don't you see that you're a victim? That she's like raping you?
She took advantage of you. She took advantage of you.
Don't you see this? And Samuel hand waves this. He's like, that's an antiquated way of thinking.
Yeah.
And the movie never really comes back to that.
No.
I understand that Samuel does not see himself as a victim, but whether or not Samuel is actually a victim,
right?
I find that to be very interesting. Yeah. And boy, oh boy, does that come into play in Baby Boy.
Yeah.
I know you understand that we are perfect, but we try, Lord. Show us the way.
Jody, played by Tyrese, is a scumbag, okay?
Yeah.
Just an absolute douche. By the way, this film has no plot. Did I mention that? It's got no plot. It's really just a bunch of vignettes of this guy's life. And they all kind of come together in the end, you know, because they all have a theme, but there's no central problem. There's no central issue. It's not like, oh no, he's poor and he's got to work his way out the hood. Nope. No. It's not like, oh, he wants to make a hip hop album like in Hustle and Flow.
No.
Nope. He is actually quite satisfied, sitting at home on his mom's couch and having sex with his various baby mamas. This movie both portrays Black masculinity in a deeply negative way, but also kind of a preachy, in a way, a positive way. The movie, in pieces, out of context, is so deeply raunchy, where Babygirl seemed to, I think, shy away from explicit sex. It seemed to like to talk about sex and what sex means between the people involved in sex. But Baby Boy is much more explicit with the sex. And Baby Boy is John Singleton's 6th film. Watching this, you would think this was like his 2nd or 3rd, because it fits right in with kind of like the Boys in the Hood era of John Singleton. But when you watch the movie is much more silly and absurd. And this is one of the most divisive hood classics that we could choose. I did not know that going into it. And I think a lot of that is because of the tone. This movie swings between a cartoonish, like downright offensively cartoonish, to like deadly serious, the most serious. The opening shot of this film is quite challenging. It is Tyrese in the womb, and you can hear the boom, 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 boom of his mother's heart, and he's laying there peacefully, as happy as can be, while a voiceover draws all these comparisons between black men and babies.
Yeah.
Again, the tone is so wild.
Yeah.
I can't tell if he's being sincere or not.
Tyrese Gibson plays Jody, on the West Coast. Right. This is all West Coast flavor. Okay, here. And he is a guy who still lives with his mama. He has 2 baby mamas. He has he doesn't have a steady job, and he's a dreamer also, to where he's like, I'm gonna make this money doing this, doing that, making this money and stuff. And he hangs out with his friend. He just feel like his mama should be able to do things for him. And there's a character in here played by Vin Rames, who is his mom's boyfriend, who is kind of like I guess a mirrored version of what his life would be in the future if he was an older man.
And the theme of the film is about the cyclical and inescapable life of a poor black man. We see Jody's past with his kids, where the kids really don't play a huge role into Jody's life at all. No. Despite the fact that he's got 2 kids by 2 different women, I'm not even sure what his kids' names are, okay? But then one step up, we see kind of like some adolescent kids. These guys ride bikes all the time. Instead of riding in cars, these kids ride bikes. What does Jody ride?
He rides a bike. And there's a lot of imagery there to where you see where John Singleton is saying, yeah, this guy has a mentality of a child, because he's at home where he's building model cars and stuff like that. That's a childlike thing. And he stays with his mama,
And oftentimes when he's hanging out with his friends, we can actually see those little kids on bikes in the background, right? So he's like not far from being just one of those little kids on bikes, which I think is just hilarious. But this movie actually takes it one extra step further, which I really appreciated it. And it showed Jody's future. And that is, or at least I should say, a potential future. It shows 2 different futures for Jody. It shows a negative future, and that's Snoop Dogg. Snoop has been in and out of jail. He also has nowhere to go, nothing to do. He is also just a loser and a violent gangster, and a grown baby. But then there's this other future personified by Vin Rames. He was everything Jody was not. And Vin Rames, he is a killer, okay? He has killed multiple people, okay? He is a truly bad person. But now he's reformed. He has learned the errors of his ways. He spent 10 years in jail. He has come out and he has made himself into an entrepreneur. He seems to be a yard man now, and he has left a lot of the violence of his youth in the past, right? Jody and Melvin, they butt heads constantly. At no point until the very end do they ever see eye to eye, even though they are essentially the same person, just with slightly different perspectives. This movie has like hints of like straight up greatness in it, right? These comparisons between Jody's present and his potential futures, I think, are just fantastic. Jody is often upset because he feels as if people are just not respecting him. Yeah. He does not know why his girl treats him like this. He does not know why his mom treats him like this. He don't understand why Melvin, Vin Rames' character, treats him like this. But we, the audience, we know. Mentally, he's still a little baby boy. It's actually never clear which direction Jody should turn in order to better himself. And I think that is kind of the point, that when your role models look like his mom and your role models look like Melvin, what options do you really have in your life? And what options do you even know are available to you? I found that to be really profound and a really complicated and complex way to talk about Black masculinity.
For sure.
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a movie tackle something like this. And I'm not sure if this movie does it very well, but I appreciate the attempt that we have here. Again, it does not portray Black men as all evil or all good. No. Shows both sides, and the movie just freaking ends. It's like, what do you think? And again, just like Babygirl, ripe for misinterpretation.
There's a time where he actually is in the heat of the moment with a girl that's at her job, and he has a decision to make, to where he's like, am I gonna do this, and go down this road and get with this girl, not even knowing what her intentions is?
But he is not in control. And do we see the parallels here between Babygirl and Baby Boy?
Yeah.
Both of these movies are about sex and how both of these characters use sex to both better themselves and to like progress in the world. Jody uses sex also for control, mostly to control women and to diffuse arguments he has with women, right? And the movie never really comes down hard on either side, whether or not he was actually being raped in the film. You know what I mean? And I feel like John Singleton wants you to think about it.
Yeah.
And I think John Singleton wants you to talk about it. Yeah. Because if you talk about this movie with anyone, okay, for more than 10 minutes, all conversations end up back on that scene.
Yes.
Every single time. As we said earlier, this is John Singleton's 6th film. He does not have to do this anymore. As a matter of fact, he never does this shit again. He makes Fast and Furious after this, okay?
Yes, he does.
Like he's done with this, all right? So he made a very challenging film. But the tone is so wild that I almost wish someone else made it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's a part where you focus on the tone where he gets jacked by these young gangsters, and he's like, let's go find these fools. They went out there, they found him at a park. They hold him up with guns, and then they're basically children,
Yes,
and
exactly.
And he starts taking off his belt like a father, starts whooping his butt, and Jody's looking at it at first. He's like, ha, and he's like, I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. They drop very naturally into a father figure role where they literally take off their belt and beat the kids, right? And this is, of course, what Melvin is trying to do to Jody. Yeah. Because Melvin can very clearly see all of Jody's flaws, but Jody can't see them because he is Jody.
He saw it then. He was like, oh, well, yeah. This is what Melvin's talking about.
So fascinating, so complex. Like, this is a really deep movie. It's too bad it was filmed almost like a cartoon. You know what I mean? With characters being like, I ain't your baby mama no more. This movie can be downright offensive. It is not a perfect film. It's got a lot of flaws. The biggest flaw, as we both have said a million times, is that damn tone. As it stands, I'm really mixed on it. I love a movie that's this challenging and unblinking in talking about such serious topics. I just wish it needs a little like nip tuck, to make it really good. Like Essential Conflict would be.
Yeah, that would be
awesome.
Great. That would be great.
That would go a long way.
Yeah.
But I was surprised to see that both of these films are about sex and sex as a tool, right? And maturity for both of these films is finding a healthy outlet for your sexual urges. And I just thought that was fantastic.
I couldn't say it as better than you just did. A healthy, mature outlet, which both of these characters did not have at all.
Nope.
If you haven't seen Baby Boy, I would recommend you seeing it just to look at it.
I totally recommend this one too. Like, again, not perfect. You're not going to come away. I don't think anybody's going to come away saying, damn, I love that movie. But it'll give you something to think about. Yeah. Right? And both movies kind of leave it vague. Yeah. Who's right? Who's wrong? Right. Was something wrong? You tell me.
Was Samuel a victim? Let us know.
Yeah, what do you think? Very fascinating.
That's how we felt about these films. But more importantly, how did you feel about these films? Get in the comments and let us know what you thought of Babygirl and Baby Boy.
Baby Boy. Stay up, baby boy. I got you.
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. You guys have been talking to us. You guys have been subscribing to us. Our subscriber count is going up. Thank you so much for the love that we've had on the recent videos. We really do appreciate it. If you are, this is your first time seeing us, please do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's right down there at the bottom, okay? It's totally free, won't cost you nothing. And if you did like the reviews for these films, please hit the thumbs up. or you get the thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. Just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong.